Hey everybody, it's Trish with the Bookworm Gals, and I'm here to bring you another couple of reviews. I'm going to do three in one today, hopefully get caught up, and then we'll be good. I can go on to something new. Also, just a little bit of news about this channel. My friend Tracy has decided that she's going to help me with it, so I'm really excited about that. She's pretty awesome. So in the next couple weeks, hopefully look for some reviews from her. My friend Sindel has decided that she's not going to do her own reviews, but that's okay because when we can get together, hopefully she will do some reviews with me. But we live over an hour away from each other, so it's going to be a little difficult. So they won't happen very often, but it's okay. So on to the book reviews. I'm going to do three today, as I said. I'm going to do The Faerie Path by Freewin Jones, the Iron Fey series by Julie Kagawa, and the Wicked Lovely series by Melissa Marr. So it's going to be a little bit of a fairy-centric review session. So I'm going to start with The Faerie Path by Freewin Jones. And there is the cover. Um, Beautiful covers. Very beautiful covers. I was really impressed with these. Um, so there it is for you. I did not buy this series because there are like 6 books. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it, so I borrowed it from the library. This story revolves around a girl named Anita. She's just about to turn 16. And she finds out that is the long lost fairy princess of the fairy realm. Tanya is her name. She was born the seventh daughter of King Oberon and Queen Titania, and yes, some Shakespearean references, but that's actually the only Shakespearean reference. She has a special power that allows her to walk between the worlds, and she does this on accident and gets stuck in the mortal realm. So what happens is she ended up getting sick, she dies, and she's actually been reincarnated throughout the years. And she never lives to be very old. She never lives to be more than a teenager until now. And it turns out she was betrothed to a man named Gabriel, and she has 6 other sisters, all with special powers. And this series, it's a little campy. It's a little campy. I mean, it's entertaining, it's light, it's airy. I read this series actually in between the Hunger Games, which I was glad for because the Hunger Games can be really intense. So this was nice to read in between, just for a little bit of light reading, a little bit of fun reading. It's a pretty good story. Like I said, this is a 6 book series. He just kept on writing, and I kept on reading them. But I do recommend it if you want to read something that's a little fun to read. Like I said, it is a little campy, a little childish at points, but I would recommend it. I would probably give it 3 stars. It wasn't a great series, but it wasn't a bad series either. So, um, give it a go. You might like it. You know, maybe read it after reading something a little bit more intense. And, these are just my opinions. So, moving on. The next um, novel, or the next series that I'm going to review is the Iron Fey series by Julie Kagawa. This is the cover of the first book. Sorry about the brightness. Um, Also, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artwork on these covers. Whoever her artist was that designed these covers was absolutely fantastic. He's somebody I would want to do my book covers. So these are fantastic book covers. This is a series that has 4 books, and that's the Iron King, the Iron Daughter, the Iron Queen, and the Iron Knight. Now, the first 3 books all revolve around Megan Chase, who finds out she's a half fairy and daughter to King Oberon. A lot of Shakespearean references here, with Robin Goodfellow or Puck, Queen Titania, and Queen Mab, the Seelie and Unseelie courts. When I first started this book, and after I watched a couple of reviews and read a couple of reviews on it, I did notice that it had an extremely familiar plot line, and that plot was Labyrinth. Labyrinth is my favorite movie in the entire world, and it definitely paralleled that. I don't know that the author has ever seen Labyrinth. I don't care personally. I just noticed it. A whole lot of parallels, right from the characters, the Kate Sith Grimalkin, her little brother being taken away by the mysterious Fairy King. Of course, the Iron King was not nearly as cool as David Bowie. I'm sorry, he just wasn't. Um, Anyways, moving on. So Megan Chase is lured into the fairy realm when her little brother, is taken away by the Iron King. And what this basically revolves around is it's a new concept of fairies, and it was actually a really neat concept on fairies. I really did like the originality that was behind the new concept of the Iron Fey. Um, as everybody who's ever studied fairy lore, they know that fairies are allergic to iron. Well, in this series, there's a whole new breed of fairy that basically comes from technology, and they are immune to iron. They have an entire iron kingdom. The problem with this is that it's destroying the rest of the fairy realm. So Megan's big mission is to find a way to stop the Iron King from taking over the whole of the Never Never. Along the way, she has her best friend Robbie, which turns out to be Robin Goodfellow, or Puck. The Kate Sith that I've mentioned, Grimalkin, who reminds me a lot of the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, but that's okay too. He was actually a really cool character. He was probably one of the better characters. And then there is Prince Ash of the Winter Court, who is Megan's love interest. How predictable. Yeah. He is the I'm in despair, typical woe is me Prince love interest. There's a Team Ash and Team Puck thing going on. I'm Team Puck. I admit it. I always end up choosing the wrong guy, even though I knew how this story was going to end. I'm still Team Puck. In my happy little world in my head, I am Team Puck. And that's just how it is. I don't do the whole woe is me, feel sorry for me Prince thing. It sucks. It's been done. um, so that's basically the first three books. It's all to do with the Iron Fey and trying to keep them from destroying Fairy. And I'm not going to say I won't speak about that too much because that is going to ruin the story for you. So the fourth book in the series, which is the Iron Knight, is actually it's Ash centric. Julie Kagawa was not going to write a fourth book, but she chose to give the Team Ash fans a little bit of, a little bit extra, and she wrote the Iron Knight. I did read the Iron Knight. I was pleased with it. It actually made me like Ash a little bit more when I saw things more for him from his perspective. Puck was along for the ride, and like I said earlier, I love Puck, so I was really pleased about that. But it was a really good story, really interesting. I loved the original concept of fairies born of technology. So all in all, I give this series a 4 out of 5 stars. If it wasn't as cliche as it was with the love triangle, it would have probably gotten 5 out of 5 stars. But it was predictable. It was cliche, but I do love how Julie Kagawa writes. She does have a very beautiful way of writing, and I'm actually really looking forward to her next series coming out, which I think is coming out sometime this year. So give it a read, 4 out of 5 stars. It's a good story. It's a good story, and for any of those hopeless romantic girls out there that likes the typical woe is me prince that gets the girl, you're gonna love it. So, that's about it as far as the Iron Fey goes. And next we're going to do Wicked Lovely, which I'm very excited to review. So let me get that cover up for you. Oh, hold on. Oh, shoot. My Kindle isn't wanting to cooperate. Here we go. Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. Oh, oops, I hit the button. Sorry. Hit the button. That is the cover. These are also gorgeous covers. What is it about fairy books and the absolutely beautiful covers that they have? So there it is. Now, Wicked Lovely consists of 4 books. Wicked Lovely, Ink Exchange, Fragile Eternity, Radiant Shadows, 5 books, and Darkest Mercy. Now, I like how this series goes because not all the books are sequential, which is good. Anyways, Melissa Marr. Wicked Lovely revolves around a girl named Ashlyn, and she can see fairies, but the fairies don't know that. It's interesting because these fairies do not live in the fairy realm. They actually live on Earth and use glamour to hide themselves from humans. But Ashlyn can see them. She has the sight. The prince's name is Keenan, and he's the budding Summer King. He's looking for his queen, and he's been looking for his queen for a long time. There's Seth, who is Ashlyn's best friend, and Danya, who's the winter girl. Now, what happens in this story is that, as I said previously, Keenan is looking for his summer queen, and throughout the centuries, he has been on this search for her. And what happens is that they are to brave the winter staff that could possibly turn them into the winter girl, which means they're going to bear the cold of winter for the rest of their lives, or until the next girl comes along that isn't supposed to be the queen. Now, um, in a lot of cases with Keenan, the poor thing, a lot of these girls said, no, we're not doing this. And then they became the Summer Fae, because as he's trying to woo his Summer Queen to pick up the staff as a test, they're losing their mortalness and they're becoming Fae. And once you become Fae, there's no going back. So it's really kind of selfish in a sense, but he's a king. He's got to do what he's got to do for his court. And the whole reason that this has happened is because of his mother, Beira. He is the product of the Winter Queen and the previous Summer King. And the Winter Queen killed his father, and she cursed Keenan, and this is why this is happening. Ashlyn chooses to accept. I'm giving a ton of spoilers here. I'm so sorry. And this goes through the motions of how this comes to be. It might appear that there's a little bit of Team Keenan, Team Seth going on, but you're going to have to read to find out if there is. Now, that's Wicked Lovely. The next book is Ink Exchange, Ink Exchange, and that follows Ash's friend Leslie and the king of the dark court, Iriel. And Iriel is in love with Leslie, and the way he feeds his court is to feed off of human emotions, and he needs Leslie to do this. So Leslie gets a tattoo where the ink is mixed with this dark king's blood. And so she is bonded to him, but on the side there's Neil, who is also in love with Leslie. This is a really fantastic story, and I was not upset in the least that the story didn't jump right back into Ash and Seth and Keenan. It was kind of refreshing, actually, It was actually a little refreshing because it was a different story. It was good, but it still tied in with the rest of the fairy world. So, and it was a really cool concept of how these fairies were bonding with these humans. So I really, really liked it. The next book is Fragile Eternity, and this is pretty Seth-centric in how Seth wants to find a way to be with his love forever. But like I said, you haven't read this novel, if you haven't read this series, I don't want to give too much away, and I'm doing too much as it is, but I'm trying not to. It's just, I get really passionate about this series because I love it. Radiant Shadows is the fourth book, and again, that goes off into a different tale of two other people, but it's still entwined with the whole of Wicked Lovely. That book is about Ani and the Hounds of the Dark Court, and it has more to do with that and the High Court, the High Fairy Court. Oh, I forgot to mention that there are four fairy courts in this series: the Winter Court, the Summer Court, the High Court, and the Dark Court. So again, a little bit of originality there on the twist of fairy lore, which I love. I think Melissa Marr is brilliant. So again, Radiant Shadows goes on to talk about the Dark Court and the High Court more. And then Darkest Mercy is the conclusion of it all. It ties up all the loose ends, and I was so fabulously pleased with the end of this novel. It's just different. It's not predictable. It's not typical. And Melissa Marr's writing style is just absolutely fantastic. So this is definitely a 5-star novel, and I have been trying to push this on all my friends to read. So three reviews in one. I'm caught up, I think. Yay! So now I can move on to something else, to the books that I am previously reading. Sorry about the dogs barking in the background. And we'll see you next time. Bye.